China just shocked American scientists with this. When was the last time when China's breakthroughs didn't worry the US? Can't recall, right? That's because there wasn't any. Each and every single breakthrough of China has been worrying the US like a jolt out of the blue. And that's pretty much because China is now on the move to compete with the US in every way. From military, aviation, space exploration, tech, cars, you name it. China has the US ticking on the bomb with sweat dropping down their foreheads in shock. And that's exactly what this new major breakthrough has done. It has troubled and shocked the American scientists. Hello everyone, join us as we explore the new breakthrough of China and look at how and why it has the US scientists shocked. But before we jump into the video, consider subscribing to my channel and save it by the bell to stay tuned. Done? Let's begin. China and Mongolia, neighbors as one would name them, share many things in common. Yet, geographically they share a region, or more precisely a desert, called the Gobi Desert. The desert gets its name from the Mongolian word as it means very large and dry, and that's very true, considering that this desert spans over 500,000 square miles and is considered one of the most isolated and barren places in the world. The desert is the fourth largest in the world, which means it is surely a significant area of land that is currently of no use. Now, when I say the word desert, it will project an image of the fancy-looking golden sand dunes with sand looking like cotton all over the place, which surely seems pretty fancy and classic, just like the Arabian deserts. However, that is not true. The Gobi Desert is in no way something like the usual desert. Instead, it's a place of rocky terrain with no good looks. Right, the desert misfits your perception and imagination of a desert. China is a country with the most population in the world, which is its strength. It is surely a large country spanning across roughly 9.5 million square kilometers. Not the biggest, but one of the biggest. Taking into account its population of roughly 1.4 billion people, the area of land would matter the most to the Chinese. But here's the bitter twist in the story. The Gobi Desert is expanding its area southwards into modern China, which has become a huge concern for the Chinese as their lavish green regions are at risk of taking the color of the desert. This has become one of the major concerns for China over time, and it has been doing its best to scratch out a solution to this problem. The Gobi Desert is known for its extreme and harsh climates, as the temperatures in the summer are hot. The Gobi Desert does experience rain in the summer, however, the rain never lasts long, with an annual rain of roughly 150 millimeters, which isn't too much. Contrarily, in the winters, temperatures drop down in such a way that the Gobi Desert gets colder than any other places in China or Mongolia, which makes life in the desert hard in the winters. The desert is known to have variations in its climate, with both the cold and hot ends pushing apart as possible, making the entire weather spectrum more diverse and extreme. As I told you guys earlier in this video, the problem with the Gobi Desert is that it is expanding into modern China, which is the biggest trouble for China as desertification has already been affecting 400 million people. Additionally, an estimate shows that since 1975, an additional 21,000 square miles of land has been victim of desertification, as deserts have expanded into green lands, making larger regions of land inhabitable, which poses a grave danger in the Chinese and their agricultural regions. History tells us that regions such as the Yanchi County, once sandy areas like the Gobi Desert, are today some fine lands of greenery, as the appropriate measures to get the land under control were taken, and the measures primarily involved straw checkerboarding. Wondering what that is? Well, it's a technique derived by the Chinese in 1957, which is used for fixing sand dunes and preventing sand from expanding and moving into further regions. Straws of wheat, rice, reed, along with other plants are positioned in shapes of checkerboards, and half are buried while the other half is kept above the sand. Where the straws are made and sand dunes are fixed, soil formation begins, and over time, the hard crust of the soil forms, preventing the spreading of deserts and instead making the regions habitable. This technique is not just used in China, but also worldwide for sand dune fixation, as it has rapid results, low cost, no pollution, and gives the desired effects. However, replacement after a few years remains a problem, but considering that there are no other major environmental effects known so far of this method, the technique is flawless for use for places at risk of desertification. Nevertheless, there is an additional factor that this technique is labor-intensive, as it requires a considerable number of people working. On the other hand, the entire desertification control effort in China has created a lot of jobs for the locals in the deserts, which has allowed them to make money and be employed. The checkerboard straws appear to be like nets when ready, and when this technique is implemented over larger areas, the surface of the desert appears to be like a collection of nets joined. This technique has been admired by people across the world due to its remarkable results, and no risks associated with it. The technique of the Chinese has been duplicated and implemented across different countries, as desertification is not just China's problem, but the entire world's. This has put the US into a shock as to know how a great technique has been derived by the Chinese to battle the threat, which might have affected the modern and sustainable development of China. And not just that, but it would have also impacted China's environment, ecology, and biodiversity, because the spreading of deserts could have gained momentum as other nearby regions are experiencing desertification. Roughly 53,000 hectares of desert has been controlled by using this technique, and more than 3 million people are to be benefited by the environmental effects of the entire desertification control effort. The Chinese are in full swing to battle this danger, as they know what needs to be done and they're doing it. Further researches may be initiated later to enhance the procedure of straw checkerboarding, but as of now, it is in a decent version to work for the Chinese and for other countries. Bashir Daud from the Meteorological Department of Jordan is one of those inspired by this desertification control effort of China, and is amazed by their methodology to control the entire risk, and is now in China to be part of the effort and aims to learn more in order to take the technique back to Jordan to help Jordan battle the same issue as well. China is functioning as a major player in the entire effort to control the issue of desertification. Although the technique of straw checkerboarding has proved to be a success for China, yet it is still unclear whether or not will this be enough to solve the problem and save China from the potential issue of losing its northern and mainland due to the expansion of the Gobi Desert towards the south. So, what are your thoughts on the entire issue of desertification? Do you think will China be able to battle the problem with their all-time best technique of straw checkerboarding? Or will the expansion of the Gobi Desert still be a pain in the neck, or perhaps a possible nightmare? Comment your thoughts down below, and if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below, and we would love to answer them back. And on that note, we would like to end our today's video here. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, smash the thumbs up button, and click the bell icon to stay tuned so that whenever we upload a new video, you get notified. Until the next video, goodbye.